case that makes you, and the case that breaks you.
LAPD, could we have a word?
The case you never solve, the one that keeps you awake at night.
You shot a man in cold blood. You're going to have to pay for that.
L.A Noire, as basically most of you know, is this year's big Rockstar game to come out for the first quarter, or first couple quarters. Last year you had something very similar in the form of like a Red Dead Redemption, and prior years you saw a lot of Grand Theft Auto stuff come out. Rockstar's been really solid in the last few years with bringing out these new cool IPs that they've either been buying up from other developers or just, you know, researching and getting behind. So for the positives for this game, one of the big things that I was looking at is facial animation. Team Bondi had this new capture technology that they've been using, that they have a full motion studio that's around the actor as they're doing it. So they've got this guy sitting in a chair who's got, from basically from his neck up, just being recorded, and then they take that animation and they plaster it on a character. I believe they said that they didn't even change anything with it, they just did a direct recording of it. So it's that guy's face as he's acting, feeling that emotion, and then putting it onto his character, I suppose. I want to say that a lot of these people who did this, or a lot of the people who did this, are really, really good. Like, just seeing some of their facial animations and the way that it plays into the game, you kind of can't go back to looking at other games. I did, to give it a bit of an attempt. I played L.A Noire, and then I jumped back to another game that I thought the faces looked kind of okay in, which was Gears of War, and you just immediately go, wow, like, the difference is that big. It's kind of crazy. Second thing I wanted to talk about was the interview system in this game. The interview system is basically the main game mechanic where you have to try and guess if somebody that you're talking to is lying to you. And the only way you could do that is by looking at this thing, their face. So it's either really tricky when you're trying to figure it out, and at the beginning it's kind of a little easier because there's some really solid tells, like people like looking to the side and looking really shady. But later in the game, sometimes you're looking at a guy and you're like, okay, well, he's twitching, but he was twitching before when he was telling the truth, and now he's just kind of smirking, and is that his face, or is that just, like, it really throws you. And that's a good thing. I like that. It's because you don't see that in other games doing that. It's just not there. And while the mechanic does kind of wear thin after the 15 to 20 hours that you play the game, it's still really fun. Okay, so the third thing that I really did enjoy about this game was the amazing adult story. And the only other thing that I think I had to compare this to would be Heavy Rain, maybe from last year. The problem, however, with Heavy Rain that I at least found was that it had plot holes you could drive a truck through. Like, huge, huge plot holes that you just like, okay, that didn't make any sense. I mean, now, while the moment-to-moment game was great, and the storyline on a whole was really a nice change of pace from what you get with most video games nowadays, it just wasn't 100%. This game is 100%. This is the adult storytelling that developers have been talking about for years and years and years that they want to deliver. It's here. This is it. You need to try it, especially if you're a fan of storytelling in video games. If you're not, if you're more into like the multiplayer shooters and just going on and getting your online fix and being in there and, you know, mixing it up, it's not an action game like that. It's not for you. I still say try it, maybe on a rental, just to, you know, give it a go and just to see where that facial capture technologies come in. But it's not for you. Like, I could see if you didn't enjoy it as much as maybe I did, or somebody else who's really into storylines, you might not get as much out of it. First one, this story, while being great and adult, is extremely slow to get moving. The first couple cases don't really string together, there isn't much there. They're intriguing, but they're not that quick. Like, you I think go through about 5 or 6 missions before you start getting into even any of the homicide stuff with women and spoiler alert, maybe some of the Black Dahlia stuff. I won't tell you anything past that. It's really intriguing, great plot line. It's just, it takes a while to get there. While some of the individual cases at the beginning, while taken in singular, are kind of cool, it starts to pick up a little later once they have that whole overarching story. The second bad thing I found about this game, the ending. It is really abrupt. you can kind of tell that the developers had made more stuff to put in the game and had to scale it back because they wanted to fit it into an actual PlayStation disc. Even on the Xbox, it's 3 discs big, so they had to start cutting somewhere. So I think they had something like 2 full discs, and then they got rid of that. I don't know. It's unfortunate, but they still did bring it together at the end. It's just not as well as I would have hoped for, with maybe a little bit more padding to give you time to brace for what's coming. The last bad thing, and I do hark on this, because I did play it on the PS3, and this isn't a mark maybe so much against the game as the fact that I'm not a huge fan of the PS3's controller for the flipper buttons. I know a lot of people will totally hate on me for this. I do like my PS3, I do like my Xbox, I do like both of them for individual reasons. They're both great systems. I'm not a fan either way of either or. I'm just picky when it comes to some things on that controller. Like I said, flipper buttons drive me nuts. And the fact that this game uses those flipper buttons for almost everything. The shooting, the running alone. Like, why are we in an age nowadays where when I push the stick forward, it doesn't start running immediately, and if I push it a little bit, I can walk into all the tilt forward running. Why do I still have to hold down the button for this? That, to me, doesn't make sense. Again, Heavy Rain kind of had the same thing going on for it. I could see maybe more why they had to use the button to do the whole running thing, because they were trying to use the rest of the controller for getting across other stuff. But in this case, it kind of didn't make as much sense to me. So on the whole, L.A Noire, really great game. It has a few qualms here and there, which keeps it from being that perfect experience that I was hoping for, namely the button mapping driving me nuts, as well as that really abrupt ending. But on the whole, it's a really great game, so I'm still going to have to give that a nice big thumbs up for me. If you don't have the chance to buy it, go out and rent it, get your hands on it, try it. It may not be for everybody, but you at least need to experience it to see where the medium could possibly go, and especially with the facial capture technology, what's possible. For Impact Canada, Adam. See you later.